It was a bright Saturday morning. The restaurant, Jasmine's Table, was already buzzing with the sound of clinking dishes, soft music, and quiet chatter. Inside the cozy space, waitresses moved quickly between tables, carrying plates filled with pancakes, omelets, and hot coffee. One of them, Jasmine, looked like just another worker. She wore a simple black apron over a white shirt, her hair tied back neatly. But Jasmine wasn't just a waitress. She was the owner. At 32, Jasmine had built the restaurant from the ground up. It was her dream, her pride. Even though she could sit in the office all day, she chose to work the floor. She liked greeting customers, listening to their stories, and helping her team when things got busy. "Morning, Jasmine," one of the cooks called from the kitchen. "Morning, Marco. Let's make it a good day," she replied with a warm smile. Jasmine checked on an elderly couple at table 3 and helped a new server carry drinks. She moved with calm and confidence. She made sure everything ran smoothly without making a big deal about herself. Most of the guests had no idea she was the boss, and Jasmine liked it that way. Just before noon, the restaurant door opened with a sharp ding. In walked a tall, sharply dressed man in a gray suit and shiny black shoes. His watch alone looked like it cost more than a month's rent. He wore dark sunglasses, even indoors, and walked like he owned the place. His name was Mr. David Collins. He glanced around the restaurant with a sneer. "Humph, this place looks cheap," he muttered loud enough for others to hear. A few nearby customers glanced his way. One mother pulled her child closer, feeling uncomfortable. But Jasmine stayed calm. She had seen this kind of man before, rich, proud, and full of himself. She stepped forward with her usual grace and held out a menu. "Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Jasmine's Table. Would you like to sit near the window or here by the corner?" Mr. Collins barely looked at her. He waved a hand in the air, dismissively. "You again," he said with a smirk. "Just get me something good. You know, food that won't taste like cardboard." Jasmine gave a soft smile. "Of course, sir. I'll bring you the house special. It's made fresh." Mr. Collins didn't say thank you. He just pulled out his phone and began scrolling, not even bothering to look up. As she walked away, Jasmine's smile faded slightly. She had dealt with rude customers before, but something about this man felt different. His tone wasn't just rude. It was filled with judgment, like he had already decided this place, and the people in it were beneath him. Still, Jasmine didn't let it bother her too much. She believed in kindness, and she believed in letting actions speak louder than words. Back in the kitchen, she quietly told the chef, "Let's make table 6 the best plate today. No mistakes." Marco nodded. "You got it, boss." Only a few people on staff called her that, boss. Most others just thought she was the head waitress. Jasmine never corrected them. She liked being seen as part of the team, not someone above it. Back at table 6, Mr. Collins watched other customers with narrowed eyes. He whispered to himself, "Who eats at a place like this?" Then laughed under his breath. A young waiter passed by, and Mr. Collins clicked his fingers at him. "Tell your girl to hurry with my food." The waiter looked confused but nodded. Behind the counter, Jasmine noticed everything, but said nothing. She was used to wearing a smile, even when people didn't deserve it. Still, inside, something was stirring. After a few minutes, she returned with his drink, fresh lemonade with a slice of lime. "Here you go, sir," she said gently, placing it on the table. Mr. Collins didn't say a word. He took a sip, frowned, and muttered, "Too sour." Typical. Jasmine took a quiet breath. "I'll bring your food shortly." As she walked away, she heard him say behind her, "Places like this need better training." She didn't flinch. She didn't turn around. But she was listening, and she was planning something he would never expect. Because Mr. Collins had no idea who Jasmine really was, and he was about to find out in a way that would shock him to his core. Jasmine walked back to the kitchen, her step steady, her heart calm. But inside, she was thinking. She wasn't angry. She was used to people like Mr. Collins, people who judged quickly and spoke without kindness. But something about this man made her feel like he needed a lesson. Not in anger, but in truth. Marco handed her the plate: crispy fried chicken, garlic mashed potatoes, and honey-glazed carrots. It was one of the restaurant's best dishes, made from a recipe passed down from Jasmine's grandmother. She smiled and said, "Thanks, Marco. Let's make this one unforgettable." Out on the floor, Mr. Collins was growing impatient. He checked his watch, rolled his eyes, and loudly said, "Does it take this long to fry chicken in this dump?" A few customers looked up, surprised by his tone. A mother sitting with her young daughter whispered, "Some people just don't have manners." Jasmine returned with the plate, placing it gently in front of Mr. Collins. "Here you go, sir," she said with her usual calm. "The house special. I hope you enjoy it." He didn't even look up. He just picked up his fork and took a bite. Then paused. The flavors hit his mouth, crispy, juicy, seasoned just right. But he didn't want to admit it. So instead of complimenting the food, he said with a smirk, "Not terrible. For a small-time place like this." Jasmine nodded. "Thank you for trying it." Mr. Collins looked around the restaurant again. He noticed the old paintings on the walls, the simple wooden chairs, and the cheerful servers moving quickly. "Who runs this place anyway?" he asked, not really caring. "Looks like a beginner's business, probably some college kid trying to be a chef." Jasmine said nothing. She smiled and walked away. He had no idea she was the one who had designed the menu, painted the walls, and trained the staff. She was the beginner, but she had worked for years to build this dream. Later, Mr. Collins called her over again. This time, he was frowning at the bill she had placed on the table, though it was still inside its envelope, unopened. "Before I pay," he said, "tell your boss this meal was decent, but your attitude could use some polish." Jasmine raised an eyebrow gently. "Is there anything else I can help you with, sir?" He leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms. "You know what your problem is. You people don't know how to treat real customers. Customers with power. If I wanted to, I could buy this place. Make it better. Make it mine." That was the last line. Now even other tables went quiet. Some guests stared in shock. A few whispered. One man shook his head in disbelief. Jasmine still didn't lose her calm. She stood straight, hands folded, eyes kind but strong. "Sir," she said softly, "I'm glad you shared your thoughts." And she walked away. In the back, one of the waitresses looked upset. "Jas, how do you stay so calm? That man is horrible." Jasmine looked over at her team, then at the kitchen staff. All of them had been quiet, watching. She took a breath. "He doesn't need my anger. He needs a mirror, and I'm about to give him one." She reached into a drawer and pulled out a thick envelope, fancier than the usual ones they used. On it was the gold logo of Jasmine's table with the words, "Founder's Signature Edition," printed in the corner. She placed the regular bill inside, then added a short note. Moments later, Jasmine returned to Mr. Collins' table. "Here you go, sir," she said, handing him the envelope. "Your bill. And a little something from the owner." He raised an eyebrow. "Finally. Let's hope the owner's smarter than the staff." He opened the envelope and froze. Inside, he found the bill and a gold-edged card with elegant handwriting that read, "Thank you for dining with us. We believe every customer deserves kindness, no matter how they treat us. Jasmine Carter, owner of Jasmine's Table." His mouth slowly opened. His eyes flicked up to her. "You?" he asked, voice now lower, almost shaky. "You're the owner." Jasmine nodded, smiling. "Yes, sir, I am." Mr. Collins stared at Jasmine. He didn't blink. His hand held the gold-edged card like it was too hot to touch. "You? The owner?" he said again, this time with less pride and more confusion. Jasmine gave a soft smile and nodded. Yes, sir. I opened this place 5 years ago. The room had gone silent. The other customers had stopped eating. Even the clinking of forks paused. Everyone was watching. Mr. Collins looked around. His face turned a shade of red. He shifted in his seat and cleared his throat. I see, he said slowly. Well, I didn't mean any offense. But his voice wasn't strong anymore. It cracked at the end. Jasmine nodded politely. Of course. She didn't have to say more. Her calm voice, her gentle eyes, and her powerful presence said enough. In the kitchen, Marco whispered to another cook. Did you see his face? The waitress giggled. He's shaking. I bet he's never been this embarrassed. But Jasmine stayed professional. She wasn't here to embarrass anyone. She just believed people should be treated equally, especially by those who thought they were better. She walked back to her office while Mr. Collins sat frozen at his table. After a few minutes, Mr. Collins stood up and walked toward the counter. He held the bill in his hand. Excuse me, he said, his voice quieter now. I'd like to speak with Ms. Carter again. One of the waiters went to the back to call her. Jasmine came out, wiping her hands with a towel. Yes, sir. I just wanted to apologize, he said, avoiding eye contact. I was rude. I made some unfair comments. He swallowed hard. This place is excellent. And the food, it's better than anything I've had at 5-star restaurants. Jasmine listened without saying much. She just stood there, letting him speak. I guess I judged too fast, he added. Didn't expect someone like you to be in charge. That sentence hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Jasmine raised an eyebrow. Someone like me. Mr. Collins looked embarrassed. I didn't mean it like that. I just assumed. He stopped talking. There was nothing more he could say. Jasmine nodded again. We all make mistakes, but sometimes how we treat others says more than any apology. Mr. Collins nodded quickly. You're right. Completely right. I've never been this wrong in my life. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a thick wad of cash. This meal was worth triple, he said. Let me pay what it truly deserves. Jasmine shook her head gently. That's kind of you, sir, but we don't take tips that big. We believe in fair service, not forgiveness bought with money. She placed a hand over the bill and slid it back. Mr. Collins looked stunned. Most people would take his money and let him go. But Jasmine was different. She offered grace, not greed. He stood there for a second, not sure what to do. Then he looked around the restaurant again, at the people eating happily, the staff working with pride, the art on the walls. He finally saw it for what it was, a place full of love, hard work, and dignity, and he had disrespected all of it. As he turned to leave, Jasmine spoke one last time. Mr. Collins. He stopped and turned back slowly. Yes. Next time you visit, I hope you'll treat every waitress like the owner, because you never know who's standing in front of you. A few customers clapped softly. Others smiled. It wasn't loud, but it was powerful. Mr. Collins gave a small, respectful nod and walked out quietly. Back in the kitchen, Jasmine exhaled. Her staff came around her, smiling wide. You handled that like a queen, Marco said. More like a boss, the waitress added. Jasmine smiled back. Kindness is power, always. They all nodded. And then, with the moment behind them, the team got back to work. More customers were walking in. Another table needed water. Another order needed to be taken. And Jasmine. She picked up a tray and walked back out to the floor. Because that's what real leaders do. The next morning, the restaurant opened like always. The sun came through the big windows, casting a soft glow on the wooden tables. The smell of fresh bread and coffee filled the air. Jasmine walked in early, her hair tied back, a notebook in her hand. But today was not just another day. Last night had changed something. After the dinner service ended, Jasmine stayed up late, thinking. Not about Mr. Collins or his insults, but about how often this happened. People judging her team, talking down to her staff, looking at her skin and assuming she was just the help. She knew it wasn't just her restaurant. It was a bigger problem. And maybe she could do something about it. That morning, she gathered her top staff: Marco, the head chef; Leah, the lead waitress; and Ron, her quiet but smart dishwasher. They sat around a small table in the back room. "Something happened last night," Jasmine began, flipping open her notebook. Marco smirked. "You mean the rude guy who got served humble pie?" Everyone chuckled. Jasmine smiled too, but her eyes were serious. "Yes, him. But also what he represents." She leaned forward. "We get customers like him every week. People who think we're nothing because of how we look, how we talk, or what job we do." Leah nodded slowly. "Yeah, I've seen it. Sometimes I just smile and try to forget." "But we shouldn't have to," Jasmine said. "This place, our restaurant, is about respect. Not just for food, for people." There was a moment of silence. Everyone was listening now, really listening. "So what are you thinking?" Ron asked quietly. Jasmine tapped her pen. "I want to start something. A small change that can grow bigger." She looked at each of them. "We're going to train every new employee about kindness and confidence. We'll talk about race, respect, and real service. Not just how to take orders, but how to hold your head high, no matter who's sitting at the table." Leah's eyes lit up. "That's powerful." "And," Jasmine added, "I'm going to start writing a blog about our stories. The things that happen here. The good ones. And the hard ones." Marco chuckled. "You're gonna name drop Mr. Collins." Jasmine laughed. "Maybe. Maybe not. But people need to hear. This isn't just food. It's a movement." As they kept talking, more ideas flowed. A mentorship program for young girls of color. Partnerships with local schools to train teenagers in hospitality. A community night every month, where people from all backgrounds eat together, share stories, and listen. By the end of the meeting, the small room felt electric. This wasn't just a restaurant anymore. It was becoming a voice. Later that day, something surprising happened. Mr. Collins returned. He stood outside the glass door for a long moment before walking in. He was dressed simply this time. No expensive watch, no loud suit. Just jeans, a button-up shirt, and eyes full of something new: humility. Jasmine spotted him from across the room. She walked over calmly. "Back for the risotto?" she asked with a small smile. He chuckled nervously. "Actually, I'm here for something else." He pulled out a folded piece of paper and handed it to her. Jasmine opened it slowly. It was a typed letter. "An official donation, $50,000. To support staff education, mentorship, and equality efforts," it read. Jasmine looked up, stunned. "I'm not here to fix what I did," Mr. Collins said. "I can't undo the past. But I want to help build a better future, if you'll let me." For a moment, Jasmine didn't speak. Then she nodded. "Help is always welcome," she said softly, "as long as it's honest." He smiled. "I've got a lot to learn. Maybe this place is the right place to start." Jasmine folded the paper and put it in her pocket. Around them, the restaurant buzzed with life. Plates clinked, coffee steamed, laughter floated in the air. But something had shifted. One rude customer had walked in. And now he was leaving. Change. And Jasmine. She wasn't just running a restaurant anymore. She was building a legacy. The next few weeks flew by quickly. The restaurant was busier than ever. People started hearing about Jasmine's story, how a black waitress turned out to be the owner, how she stayed calm, and how she stood strong. Her small blog post about the incident with Mr. Collins had gone viral. It wasn't angry, it was wise. It told the truth, and the truth touched hearts. News channels wanted interviews. Local schools called, asking her to speak. Young women came in just to meet her, but Jasmine wasn't interested in fame. She had a bigger plan. One Friday evening, the staff gathered in the dining area before the shift started. The lights were soft, the tables polished, and a fresh bouquet of sunflowers sat on each table. Jasmine stood in front of her team with a small smile. "I have something special planned for tonight," she said. Marco raised an eyebrow. "Are we finally getting that celebrity chef visit?" Leah giggled. "Or another rude millionaire?" Jasmine laughed. "No, but maybe better." She took a breath and looked around at her team. The same team that stood by her, worked hard every day, and treated every guest with care. "We're launching our first community dinner night." Everyone looked surprised. "What's that?" Ron asked. Jasmine's eyes lit up. "It's a night where nobody looks at price, clothes, or skin color. We invited people from shelters, schools, hospitals, people who don't always get a warm meal or a smile." Marco nodded slowly. "And we're feeding them." "Yes, for free, no menus, just love." The team got to work fast. Pots boiled. Fresh bread went into the oven. Pasta dough was rolled. Jasmine worked side by side with everyone. As the sun set, guests began to arrive. There was a quiet man in a security uniform, still wearing his night shift badge. A teenage girl with braids, her hands shaking, walking in with her little brother. An elderly woman who smelled like lavender and smiled at every single person she saw. The restaurant looked different tonight. No expensive suits, no loud voices, just warmth. Jasmine moved from table to table, pouring tea, sharing stories, and listening. At one point, she paused near the window. She looked out and smiled. Mr. Collins was standing outside again. This time, he wasn't wearing designer clothes. He held a paper bag in one hand and wore a nervous look. Jasmine walked over and opened the door. "You're back," she said, calm but curious. He nodded. "I brought something." He opened the bag and showed her two things, a homemade lemon tart and a letter. "I baked it," he said. "It's probably awful." Jasmine chuckled. "Let's find out." They sat at the smallest table near the back. Jasmine took a bite. Her eyes widened. "Not bad," she said. "A little sweet, like you're trying too hard." He laughed, then turned serious. "I read your blog," he said. "Every word. I even printed it out." He took out the letter and placed it on the table. "This is from my board," he said. "We want to invest in your mentorship program. And more than that, we want to make your model a national example." Jasmine looked at the letter, then back at the crowd of guests, laughing and eating together. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. Instead, she said something even better. "We're not here to impress anyone," she said. "We're here to inspire." Mr. Collins nodded slowly. "Then let me learn." That night, when the event ended, and the last guest left with a smile and a warm hug, Jasmine stood by the door, watching the stars. She thought about how it all started, with one rude customer and one moment of quiet strength. And now, she had created something real, something lasting. She hadn't raised her voice. She had raised a standard. The restaurant's community dinner night was a huge success. Photos were shared online. Guests left heartwarming reviews, and Jasmine's story spread even further. But not everyone was happy about it. One evening, Jasmine was in her small office reviewing staff schedules. The cozy hum of the restaurant buzzed outside her door. Suddenly, Marco knocked. "You need to see this," he said, handing her a tablet. It was a video from earlier that day. One of the restaurant's new hires, a young waitress named Tina, had secretly recorded a conversation with a customer. The man in the video was Mr. Collins, but he didn't sound like the same man who brought lemon tart and kind words. He was on the phone, his voice sharp. "Yes, I'm playing the long game," he said. "She's emotional, wants to inspire people. I just want the business model." Jasmine's face dropped. Once the media cools down, I'll buy the restaurant. It's a gold mine. He laughed in the video. Jasmine sat still, her hands frozen around the tablet. So it was all a lie. The donation, the letter, even the tart. Marco was fuming. He's trying to take what you built. Leah stormed in. I knew he was fake. Knew it. But Jasmine didn't shout. She didn't cry. She closed the tablet slowly and stood up. Her voice was calm but strong. Then he's about to learn who I really am. The next day, she called her lawyer and her marketing partner. I want to tell the truth, she said, but smartly. Within 24 hours, she released a video on her restaurant's website and social media pages. She didn't name Mr. Collins directly. She didn't speak in anger. She just spoke facts. I started this place to serve food and dignity, she said in the video, seated in her chef coat. Some people come here to take, but we're here to give, and we will not be bought. The video went viral in less than a day. Meanwhile, Mr. Collins panicked. He called. He emailed. He even came to the restaurant. But this time, Jasmine didn't meet him. Instead, Lee handed him a sealed envelope. Inside was a simple message. We serve everyone with respect, but we don't serve lies. Please take your business elsewhere. What Mr. Collins didn't know was this. Jasmine had already filed to officially protect her restaurant's name, brand, and community program as a nonprofit. She didn't just run a restaurant now. She was leading a movement. That week, her team received offers from multiple foundations asking to help expand her model nationwide. Jasmine's little eatery wasn't just local news anymore. It was national. Later that night, Jasmine stood by the window again, just like she did after the first encounter. The same street, the same restaurant. But everything felt bigger now. She looked out and smiled to herself. She hadn't raised her voice. She hadn't fought with anger. She had let the truth do the talking. And the truth was louder than any fake smile or sweet dessert. A month had passed since Jasmine exposed the truth. The restaurant was busier than ever. People from other cities visited just to meet her. College students came to interview her for school projects. Elderly customers brought their grandchildren to see the brave woman from the internet. But Jasmine didn't let the attention change her. She still tied her apron every morning, still cleaned tables, poured coffee, and listened to stories. She hadn't become a star. She had become a symbol. One bright Saturday, a young couple walked in, looking nervous. They were holding hands and wearing second-hand clothes. Jasmine greeted them with a warm smile. "No need to worry," she said. "Come in, eat, feel at home." As she seated them, the door opened again. It was him, Mr. Collins. Only this time, he didn't look rich. He was wearing a simple gray coat and no watch. His eyes looked tired, and his voice was quiet. "May I speak to you, Miss Jasmine?" The entire restaurant fell silent. Marco watched from the kitchen. Leah froze near the register. Even the young couple looked nervous. Jasmine nodded. She led him to a quiet table in the corner. "I lost my company," Mr. Collins said. "After the video, my investors pulled out." Jasmine said nothing. "I was angry. At you. At the world. But then I realized you weren't trying to embarrass me. You were standing up for yourself, your team, and people like you." He took a breath. "I came to say I'm sorry. Truly." Jasmine folded her hands on the table. "Thank you for saying that," she replied. "I hope you become the kind of man who never needs to say it again." Mr. Collins nodded. Then he pulled something from his coat pocket. It was a bill. But not just any bill. It was the original receipt from his first visit, the one where he mocked her, ordered rudely, and left no tip. He had written something on the back. "For everything I didn't pay for that day, your strength, your grace, your patience. Here's the real payment." He placed a small envelope beside it. Inside was a check. A large one. I sold my sports car, he said. I want this to go to your mentorship program. Let others become business owners like you. Jasmine didn't take the check immediately. She looked him in the eye. You're not buying my forgiveness, she said. You're earning your own healing. Then she smiled. Now go and do something kind, but do it quietly. Mr. Collins stood up, nodded, and walked out. He didn't need applause. He had already received the biggest lesson of his life. That night, after the last customer left and the lights were low, Jasmine sat at her favorite table near the window. She looked out at the street, peaceful and calm. Leah came and sat beside her. You good, boss? Jasmine nodded. Yeah, I'm really good. Leah smiled. So what's next? Jasmine looked at the check in her hand, then at the stars above. Now, she said, we build. Months had passed since Mr. Collins walked out quietly. The restaurant was still full of laughter, warmth, and the smell of fresh bread. But something had changed. Jasmine's story had inspired thousands, not just customers, but dreamers. Every week, letters arrived from across the country. Some from young black women who wanted to open bakeries. Some from single mothers, chefs, students, even retired teachers, asking one thing: how did you do it? So Jasmine started something new. She called it The Table. Not a charity, not a business, a space, online and in person, where people could learn, share, and grow. At the table, Jasmine offered free cooking classes every Sunday, Zoom calls with young entrepreneurs, a mentorship program that matched experienced chefs with beginners, a free meal for anyone who ever needed one. No questions asked. One cold morning, as Jasmine was setting up for the Sunday brunch, a small girl peeked through the front door. She was about 8 years old, with curious eyes and braids like Jasmine used to wear as a child. She walked in slowly, holding her grandmother's hand. They took a seat by the window. Jasmine walked over with a smile. First time here? She asked gently. The girl nodded. I saw you on my mom's phone, she said shyly. She said you're a hero. Jasmine knelt down beside her. No, she said, smiling. I just refused to let anyone tell me where I didn't belong. Later that day, the little girl drew a picture and left it on the table. It showed a brown-skinned woman standing tall, holding a plate of food in one hand and a heart in the other. Underneath, she had written in crayon, Jasmine is love. Jasmine is boss. As Jasmine cleaned up that night, she found the drawing and quietly framed it. She hung it beside the kitchen entrance, right where the staff could see it every day. Because being the boss wasn't about power or money. It was about purpose. It was about feeding more than stomachs. It was about feeding souls. And as Jasmine turned off the lights and looked back one last time, the room glowed softly in the moonlight. The tables were empty for now, but she knew they would be full again tomorrow. Because kindness never goes out of season. Because truth always finds a way. And because there's always room at the table for anyone brave enough to believe they belong.